Hashtag not a furry. I just want that to be prefaced. If you are, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? We accept you. We love you on this channel. I'm just saying I'm not. YouTube land, was good? It's your boy B here, aka Brian, aka Prince Regime without the hating. Today's PBAT, and if you don't know what that stands for, Prince Be Heard Anime Talk, where I'm talking about an anime and it's more of a discussion. It's more so two friends talking about it and just conversating about a show they just recently watched. And that show for your boy is called Killing Bites. Killing Bites is on Amazon and wherever you get streaming animes, I guess. I want to say it's on Hulu as well, but I watched it on Amazon Prime, which was kind of nice because they have it to where you can skip the intros and ending. I don't know why other animes don't have that, but we need that more in our life. Let me talk about the synopsis here. After unknowingly participating in the kidnapping, a college student named Yuya Namato finds his friends brutally murdered by Hitome Uzaki. The high school girl attempted to abduct him, forced to drive to an undisclosed location, finds herself being wagered as a prize for a death match between two Theranthropes. I'll get into whatever the hell that is. I never knew how to say it because it is subbed, so bear with me on my pronunciation. Superpowered human-animal hybrids created through advanced gen therapy. As one of these hybrids, Hitomi uses speed and fearlessness to gain from her rat-tail genes, which is basically like a honey badger. I actually thought that was her name for the longest time because I kept just saying rat-tail, rat-no. But they would say brute behind it, so whatever the animal was, it'd be like a tiger brute, a cheetah brute, that thing. Where was I? Yeah, genes to viciously dispatch her foes and save Yuya from certain death. Waking up hours later, hoping a whole event was only a nightmare, Yuya realizes he become embroiled in a secret proxy war between four large Japan business conglomerates, with the winner taking control of the economy as sole unwillingly. I don't even know what that word is. It's ALBEIT. I don't know. My brain is just not big enough. Unwilling investor, his life is now directly linked to Hitomi's abilities to participate in an underground blood sport match known as Killing Bites. Now, that is the synopsis of this show. This show kind of took me for a loop because I watched it via a TikTok anime, I can't remember his name, person, and he recommended the show, and it didn't look anything like you saw on your screen. Well, I guess you're seeing me on your screen, but anything you saw, right? And that was the weirdest thing about this show, is it kind of took me for a loop. It's not what I thought it was, and not to say it's a bad show, not to say it's horrible. It just definitely took me for a loop because the things that he was warning is like it has great fights and it's a great story, and it's like I think if you like Keegan Ashura, if you like Juni Tensei, like these shows right up your alleys because it kind of follows the same format. But I think Keegan Ashura is better than this show. I think Juni Tensei is kind of better than the show in some regards. I actually like the show a little bit better than Juna. I'll get into that why later. Yeah, the show took me for a loop because it said the fights were good, the action's always good. It does have some controversial topics, which I think the only controversial show, Killing Bites, that basically how the show started out when I'm watching it and I'm discussing it, right, is this this college guy and his group of friends are basically like, yo, we trying to pick up some chicks, you know what I'm saying, we need you to tag along. And he's like, all right, cool, but you gonna be the driver. So they're driving and they pick up this girl. And the girl actually later finds out to be Hitome. They pick her up and they're trying to rape her, and it's like four of them in the backseat while Yuya is driving. It's so messed up, it's so bogus because Yuya is driving and they're trying to take advantage of this girl, and they kidnap this girl and basically go rape this girl. So he's dealt with a moral dilemma, like, hey, this ain't right. This is not what I came here for. So do I stop the car? What do I do? He basically hits the brakes, and when he hits the brakes, it comes to a full stop. They're probably going like 60, 80 on the highway, and it's like one of the anime tropes highways of where there's like hills and it's swerving and this and the third. So he stops on a dime, and all his friends are dead. Hitome killed his friends, and you're kind of sitting there wondering like, how the hell did she kill all his friends? And she basically tells him to go to this location, and it looks like I want to say like one of those night stages in Def Jam Fight for New York. I can't think of it. It's the one with the, maybe not the cars, but it's like one of those like, it's basically like a, what is it? Compact site, I guess, if you will, where they destroy cars and they're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wish I could. I put up the picture for the YouTube version, but me just talking out loud, I don't know how to describe it really. But yeah, they put him in one of those situations, and she ends up getting in a fight with Leo, which I think Leo was a lion. Yeah, Leo was a lion, and then there was a tiger later on. Okay, cool. Leo was a lion, and they fight, and basically she implies that he has like $1 million, and basically it's like $1 million versus his life, and she ends up winning. And had told me the only thing I didn't really like about her character is she had like a trope, she had a catchphrase, and it was like the one with the fangs are the sharpest wins, thus killing bites. Like she would always say that in the episode. It almost felt like she was like sponsored, like, all right, it's killing bites, we want to make sure everybody knows it's killing bites, so please reiterate what the show's about, and the one with the sharpest fangs wins. And thus she did have like the sharpest fangs. She was a badass, she was cool, she was dope. So her sponsor essentially basically sponsors him and takes an interest into Yuya, and so they're kind of linked together. And throughout the show they kind of build this strong connection, strong bond. I would definitely say, you know, Himata is the dominant one and Yuya is kind of the follow one, but they have a good yin and yang balance, because Yuya kind of towards the end of the series takes like more of a charging command and lead. And the show was good. Like, I think the fighting scenes were good. I felt like sometimes when they would let them fight and actually fight through, you know, it's just beautiful animation, it looked great. And sometimes they would kind of pull to this like action shot to where it would be a close up of the character's face, and you would really just see him like doing a slash or whatever like that. And they had moves, and like me comparing it to Keegan Ashura, I compare it to that because they have it to where a character, or like I said, these are hybrid people. So like if they're a honey badger, it would tell you kind of the things of like what makes a honey badger strong or what they do in actual nature. But it wasn't to the point where it would literally stop the action to explain what they do. Like they would explain their like key move, or their like Hitomi's was slash, and like she was so slash, and it was like, oh yeah, the fangs of a honey badger, but a rat tail. They would call it a rat tail in the show, but it's basically the honey badger. They would go into depth and explain it and go into detail, but it wasn't like, it didn't felt long. Like I felt like when I was watching Keegan, to make that comparison, I felt like Keegan would go thorough and explain, this is how this felt and this is how that felt, and then they would tell you how other people felt about that thing. Where this is just like, oh yeah, this was this attack, and this is why this is that attack, and this is why they do it, and it's like boom. And it would almost be under 30 seconds. Like that's how quick it was. So it didn't feel like it was too much. And then the characters and the fighting. So like I said, this is a discussion, so it's gonna be all over the place, and I've been meaning to get this video out, so bear with me. What was I gonna say? These discussions are terrible because I just kind of, I remember what I was gonna say. Yeah, so like kind of going into the episodes, like episode 1 is Leo, who's this tiger, lion. Sorry, a lot of edits. Yeah. He basically fights Hitomi, and Hitomi wins. And it's a good fight. It's back and forth, but he loses his arm, and somehow somatically they're genetic, so they kind of stitch up the arm, but he can't use it, so he can't enter the Destroyal, which is this tournament. So basically, everybody wants Hitomi because I feel like I don't want to say she's the first one because she was already like genetically modified when the guy that hired Hitomi to protect Yuya kind of went out and saw out for her and found her. But she's like the main, I don't remember why exactly, but she's pretty much the main head honcho. Like everybody wants a piece of her, everybody wants to attack her. Also because she probably took out like the lion, so she took out the king of the jungle. And so like there's this girl who's basically like a porcupine, and she attacks Yuya as he's like walking back to his apartment where him and Hitomi are. And literally, she was the reason that on Twitch you could do Amazon watch parties, right? So basically anyone with Amazon Prime could be in your stream watching a show with you, and it's like synchronized to where you could watch, react. It's cool, right? I was gonna finally use the feature on this show, but that Pokemon is literally the only reason why I probably couldn't watch the show. Maybe because it's called Killing Bites too. Like that's also a thing, and like they take off arms, kill each other, all that stuff. But it wasn't as bad because I feel like I saw Vinland Saga on there, so I don't know how the Amazon Prime watch party works. But yeah, so literally it's just like one flash scene, and that was like the most rated R scene. There was definitely some like fan service scene and some wild scenes, and we're gonna get into that. But yeah, and then a hippopotamus, which I didn't know he was a hippopotamus because he didn't even show his form. And like there's different type of forms, because like there's obviously the hybrid form, which is like probably one of your strongest forms, but you could almost, I want to say, convert into maybe not animal, but as close as you can to an animal, but still being human, if that makes sense. Well, I don't know, because it's like, because some of the animals would turn into like their full self and others wouldn't. So I don't know if the hybrid form was the best form, maybe because it was like a balance of speed and power. But then some people didn't even need it. Like the hippopotamus didn't even need it when he took out the badger, because he wanted to join a group. He ended up joining Hitomi's group, and then they needed the last person, and like the bunny is the last person to join, but she was like almost so much bad luck, and she was so scared that she would always lose, that she was pretty much a liability. But they needed someone, so they end up saying even being a liability can help us out in a way, right? So that was the group, the bunny and hippopotamus, and then the honey badger. Obviously they form it, and then cheetah, which is the tiger's sister. And the tiger is someone that fights with the lion all the time, and like they're like the two honchos. They're probably like the two best people for Destroyal, right? She was an interesting character too, because she was a little sister. She knew a lot, and she had the powers of controlling her animal side way better than like Hitomi would. And Hitomi was probably stronger than the cheetah, I would assume. But she was like, "Oh, can you even control your ears? Just your ears? Can you focus your eyes on just the animal instincts and stuff like that?" So she taught her a lot. But she was also a freak. Like, she stole Hitomi's panties, and it basically went on this goose chase to see how strong she really was in a way. And that, like, the fan service in this is a lot, in the sense of I never minded fan service when I was younger, obviously, because I was like young and pubescent and all that stuff. But now it's getting to the point where it's like, if I notice it, and I was like, obviously you notice it because you're watching it, you see it on your screen. I'm not saying I'm not stupid, I don't see it. I'm saying if I notice it, like, dang, this is a lot. And Killing Bites definitely has a lot in it, like a lot. Like almost the 21 Savage song, a lot. Like, yeah, they stole the panties, and then Yuya's in this manga club, and the manga club's like, "Nah, you ain't about to bring these two baddies here," and then they're about to do nothing. Then they convince them to wear these nurse outfits, and then they do these like lewd photo shoots with the photography club and the video club. It was just a weird scene. It was just like, all right, yeah, this is like how you gotta get your fan service in, I guess, whatever. And so I did like the cheetah character. I actually liked all the female characters. That's also why I had to start out by prefacing that I'm not a furry, because I actually liked all of them. Then the four families who all want power and control the government, not government, but the economy in Japan. So now it's like I have the Destroyer Royal. That's where they had to find the team that I mentioned earlier. So Hitomi, Hippopotamus, and the bunny are on a team, and then there's 3 other teams of 3. And I like this better than Keegan, because Keegan is a tournament, and it's like, I want to say at least 32 brackets, and then I have all these fleshed out fights and all that stuff. But like the 32 representatives of the business side kind of didn't play a factor at all, right? Like, yeah, you had to pick your fighter, and you obviously had to invest the money in the Keegan Ashura tournament, but you didn't do anything. You just pretty much betted on this one guy, hoping that this guy had to do something. Where the Destroyer is so dope because they had 3 pieces, right? Each piece I'm guessing, I don't know if there was an order in which you had to move the pieces, but you had to roll your dice. So if you rolled like a 5 or 6, you had to know the terrain as the investor and as the player, essentially. You had to know the terrain of the map to put your people in the best position, which I loved because it was like the investors have to play a role. Like the investors have to decide whether I leave my piece in this area that's dangerous, that anybody else can be near this area, or do I move my piece, or do I move my piece for location to see where everything's at, which was weird because that was the very first move, right, for Yuya. Yuya moved Hitomi in a perfect spot to where she could see over the whole landscape, but I don't really felt like that benefited her because another person moved the bear piece to her and she ended up fighting the bear. She won in one shot. And the bear actually got a tip from, I want to say, the alligator. Alligator or crocodile. I don't know which he actually was. I think it was the alligator. And his whole philosophy is Hitomi is a counter striker. Like that's how she gets her slash. Her slash is basically essentially a counter. And she basically takes you out when you're most vulnerable, right? So he was like, yo, if you come out the gate swinging hard as you can, you're going to get her. And she was able to counter that somehow. And she's just that dude, right? Or that nigga. I don't know. she's a baddie, right? And so that's why I didn't get the whole point of the location, because she was seeing out on the horizon and like the whole scope of the field. But it's like, it's up to the people to decide where pieces will be and where pieces will not be, because also there was another stipulation I forgot to mention. I'm sorry about that. This video's all over the place. Leave it a like and comment share if you like. Yeah, there's another stipulation, is that if the pieces don't move, say they're in a fight and say 2 pieces are in a fight together, right, like in the same location, but I move my piece, right, and I tell my piece to go 5 steps east. If my piece doesn't move within a certain time limit, that piece is destroyed because it blows up. And that was another strategy because the people didn't care. Yuya cared about his people because he built the connections with his people. But there's a point in time where one of the families owned the alligator, and the alligator got in a fight with the tiger. The tiger is like probably the strongest piece because the lion couldn't do it because he was hurt. And although I do remember, I'm gonna get back to that in a second. But yeah, so basically the alligator was pretty much gonna self-sacrifice himself to take out the tiger. And that's what the family piece wanted. Now, the other teams, the tiger, like I said, the cheetah, they were on a team. And then, I don't actually remember the girl. I remember the girl and like her power, but I don't remember what she was. What was she? I remember the name, I remember the girl, I'm looking right at her on my anime list, but I don't remember her power. I think her power, like, she just kind of, she had this aroma that basically led to the Ludus episode 7, and what's funny about episode 7 is, so I watched the first 6 episodes, I was like, alright, I'm here, I'm invested, I like it. And then when I watched the first 6 episodes, right, I'm watching the first 6 episodes, and they're good. They're fire. Love it. This episode 7, the other girl on the cheetah and tigers team comes to play, and she had this aroma that basically made you desire sex, I guess. And the cheetah and the honey badger pretty much have sex with not taking off their clothes. They pretty much just tongue each other down, do all this stuff. It was wild because I had people in my crib, in my household, and they were up and they were getting ready for work. So I'm like, hey, if they come in at any point in time, saying, I don't know, I can't explain it because it's literally 2 animal hybrids having sex. There's no way to explain what you're watching. Like it explains itself. And it's brute civet. I don't actually know what that is, but yeah, it says the ability of the civet hybrid possesses claws and the teeth turn into fangs. She uses their musk to unleash a pheromone to act as a aphrodisiac with breath. Breathe in turns the other hybrids' excitement for battle into less, rendering them unable to fight. And that's exactly what she was. And that was the part of their team. I feel like it was a interesting strategy because she only popped out when it was 2 females fighting, and one of the females was on her team. But there was like majority of males, because I want to say there was 4 females, because it was like Chevet, the cheetah, the honey badger, and the gecko. So I don't know really when she was going to use that, maybe against the males. So that was the team. The other team was like this, I want to say this armadillo, essentially. That's what it felt like he was, because he had this hardened like shell and tail. I don't think he was actually an armadillo. I probably misspeaking, but you'll know who I'm talking about when you see him. He was on a team with the gorilla, and then I think the third teammate was the bear, if I'm not mistaken, because the other team was the snake, the gecko, and the alligator. And the bear was kind of weak. He was overwhelming. And then the alligator, he played a pivotal role. He did all right. And then I'm going to call him armadillo because I'm drawing a blank. And this video is all over the place. So I do apologize. But I had to get it up. He was pretty much MVP. Like, he was beating up everybody. Like, he even beat up Hitomi to the point to where she lost the arm. And she had to go, like, basically Super Saiyan just to fight him. And yeah, she was the only one with the hybrid form too. Is there anything else I wanted to say about the fights and the characters? Fights were cool, characters were solid. The ending was kind of confusing. If I didn't watch I didn't get the premise of it, right? Like, so basically Hitome's team wins, but Hitome's team wins because she passes out. The bunny's still alive. Actually, hold on. We're going to go on a tangent before that. So much editing in this video. This video is going to be ugly. But the snake was the wildest character because... So let's talk about the controversy topics, right? The very first scene was obviously controversy because it was like you started off with a rape scene, but it was like she got captured. She pretty much got taken advantage of, even though she could have killed him at any given time. So I didn't get the premise of that. Like, was she supposed to meet Yuya? Hitomi I'm talking about. And then the snake was wild because they had a party before the destroyal, right? And in the party before the destroyal, the bunny, Yuya, I think it's Yuya because it's usually UI or UI. Sorry. She wanted to go to the bathroom, and then the snake was there, and the snake pretty much knocked out like the poisonous things from their fangs and like had the area. She pretty much made this woman paralyzed. I don't think he raped her. He was about to, maybe. Then he saw the bunny. Then he wanted to take advantage of that, and then that's when Hitomi came out and tried to save her and try to fight. And then the snake tried to do the same thing with Hitomi. And they had this one shot of Hitomi's undergarments, literally the lines and everything, just for like 30 seconds on the screen because he was going to do this. And he pulled out his snake things, which ended up getting cut off, which was kind of hilarious. But yeah, like he was in like 2 rape scenes. It was wild. And I think that's what the controversial topic was, because I can't think of anything else that was kind of controversial in the show. And they were wild for no reason. Like, they were kind of like, these don't need to be here, dog. Like, he could be creepy, but he was like, nah, I'm finna go full-fledged with it. Like, it was just wild. Then, another wild thing about this damn show is the bunny pissed herself. She got so scared that she pissed herself. That was wild. And it was gross, too, because, like, I don't think she wore undergarments. With her bottoms was her fur, so like she pissed her fur. Like, it looked gross. It was nasty. It was kind of disgusting. Is there anything else I wanted to say that was kind of wild? Episode 7 was definitely wild. I think that's it for the wild category. The armadillo like kind of dude, he cared about nature, which was cool. That was pretty much his whole character type. And honestly, I would have went for the eyes from the get-go, because everything else he had like a hardened body and he was kind of impossible to beat. He was kind of OP. But yeah, let me go back to the ending because this video is all over the place. I don't think this is gonna be a good video. I apologize. I swear. I was trying to take notes, trying to understand, but then you get on the mic and it's hot. You just start freestyling, and you're all over the place. The ending was weird because I didn't think the bunny was gonna win, and the way that she won was pretty much everybody else kind of got eliminated, was out of it. And then the cheetah was chasing the bunny, and she pretty much tripped. The bunny tripped and did a flip, and just the way she kicked her, she basically kicked her in the chin, and she got knocked out from that. So it was kind of like an anticlimactic ending. Even though I knew that team was going to win because we were following that team the whole point in time, I didn't think the bunny was going to win per se, and I didn't think Hitomi would have lost the arm. I think the hippo died, honestly, because I don't know. I don't think he did, because he was kind of there in the end. I think they mentioned something about him. Yeah, so that ending was weird. Then they basically took out one of the families because the families were doing shady stuff. I think actually they took out two families because they're both doing some shady stuff, so behind the scenes, and then they kind of took them out. Then it's like they fast forward only 2 weeks too. They fast forward 2 weeks. Hitomi basically texts Yuya and says, "Yo, meet me at the spot." You know what I'm saying? The very first spot that we met. And they basically have this moment like, "Oh, I ain't seen you in a while. I care for you, blah, blah, blah." And she asks to kill him because the person that ended up hiring Yuya and the start of this whole thing was basically saying that Yuya is going to be a problem. He's going to be an issue, which is confusing because why is Yuya going to be an issue? Of course, he's won all this money. He's successful at the game. He knows the game. He knows about Japan's underground secrets. But it's like he only had these hybrids because you hired him. How is he going to find other hybrids? Like, yeah, maybe hybrids will work for him, but you have the strongest hybrid. Like, I don't get the point of that. And then it's like this time skip essentially to where they build a city in Japan on the side of Japan of where the hybrids could live freely and be themselves. And then now there's going to be an open tournament. And then I guess you see Yuya covered up. So it's like, what was the point of attacking him, acting like he died, to build these other hybrids and have this time skip? I don't understand what I think you would have been better off just ending it on a dub of these people winning the tournament and they doing a good job. And then you have the next season start off with Hitomi slicing up Yuya, and then you're like, oh, where are we gonna go from here? Then you have the time skip. Then it could be flushed out to where you ended on the time skip, and you have so many questions. See, that's the only thing I hate about endings. Is like, I'm not saying I need a fairy tale ending all the time, but it's like when it's like a sad ending or like a confusing ending, it leaves more questions than answers. And it's like, I watched all this stuff to get to this point, but what was the point of this if theoretically you was gonna take him out regardless? It's like, did you know he was going to win? Did you have faith he was going to win? Like, what was the point of leaving him alive all this time? And then, like I said, you build him up to be this strong, and it's like, how do you even know other people are going to work with him? Because there's still the other families. Like, the other families don't necessarily do bad business. Like, he was a college student who was in a manga club, so it's not like he really had power. Now he has some power with money, but who is he going to sign? There's nobody better that he could sign if you already control Hitomi. And you have all these groups that have these other players. Like, if anything, they were trying to kill him at first. Like, I don't know. I know there's a manga, and the manga goes a little bit further. And we don't know if we're going to get season 2. So I'm hoping that the manga would explain more so than this. And I thought about reading it, but I don't know. It's cool. Like I said, if you like Kigen Ashura, if you like Junei Tensei, it's right up your alley. It's going to be a good time. I can't say otherwise, but yeah, man, hopefully you enjoyed that video. Like I said, this video is all over the place. It's 30 minutes deep. I don't know how that's going to sound. I don't know how it's going to look. I don't know how I'm going to edit it. Like I said, these PBATs just be discussions. This would be definitely one of those ones where you would get it from the podcast because I'm all over the place. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. But you know what I'm saying, 30 minutes deep, I'm done, I'm tired. I love you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Be sure to leave a like, comment, share, subscribe. Normal content should be back on the way. You know, so expect like Mortal Kombat gameplay, definitely some Dragon Ball Fighters. I gotta get back into Dragon Ball Fighters. Expect more of that, and more videos, because I hate not uploading, I hate not recording a video.